Welcome to the Beauty in Burnt Toast, the podcast where we celebrate the crispy, chaotic, unexpectedly beautiful parts of life. I'm Jade.
And I'm Jamie. We're two women doing our best to live with purpose, laugh through the mess, and talk about the stuff that no one puts on Instagram.
Here you'll find real stories, unfiltered conversations, and reminders that perfection is overrated, but showing up, that matters.
And whether you're building a business, raising humans, chasing healing, or just trying to remember what day it is, you belong here.
So pour the coffee, reheat the toast, and let's get into it. This is the Beauty in Burnt Toast.
All right, welcome back to the Beauty in Burnt Toast, where we're doing things a little bit differently on this show. So this is our second mayoral candidate for Hartselle City. I would like to welcome
Missy Evans.
Yo, you know what I almost did? I almost said Missy Elliott. And when I looked at you, I was like, no one wants to know about Super Duper Fly. And I was like, don't say Missy Elliott. Don't say Missy Elliott.
Listen to too much rap.
I don't. I've been trying not to. But I immediately thought Missy Elliott. And I was like,
that's all right.
Say it.
What happened to my brain just now?
Don't say it, Jamie. It's a good thing we cut and pieced this together.
Or we keep it because we're real, right?
Oh my gosh, don't do it to me. You will.
Missy Evans. Go ahead.
Here I am. This is Missy Evans, not Missy Elliott.
She is not super duper fly, but I bet she is.
Well, we're going to find out. But I've been tasked to introduce myself, and let's see. I have, my name is Missy Evans. I always have to start with that. And I have lived in Hartselle since 2019. I married a Hartselle native. His name is David Evans. And we met at Auburn back in 1987 and married War Eagle.
My husband's a 1987 graduate of Auburn.
Yeah.
Very good. Yes. And we met in the choir room at Auburn University.
Oh my gosh.
And then married when we graduated, and he was offered a job. He's an engineer, and he was offered a job in Charlotte, North Carolina. We thought we'd pill around there for a couple of years and make our way back here. And then 25 years later, we said, we have to move.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so we lived in Charlotte for a total of 28 years.
Wow.
But as David's parents were aging and we were just ready, our kids were starting to head off to college, and they wanted to come to Alabama.
Yeah.
So our oldest daughter headed to Samford, and while we were there visiting her one of the first semesters that she was in college, we just felt a really strong impression that God was calling us back to Alabama, that there was a revitalization work is really what was on our heart to come back for. And so after about 3 years, we cut our ties in Charlotte, which was really tough.
I bet.
You know, you just invest. You love where you live, no matter where you are,
right?
And you invest, and so to walk away from that was a big step of faith for us. But we've come here and rolled up our sleeves and jumped into this community, and have been so honored and privileged to be able to just make our roots go deep here, which is what we wanted. The roots were already here, but to be able to let them go deep. David, my husband, is a long, many generations of family from this area. So it was easy to come back and reintegrate here.
So how long have you been here since you moved back from Charlotte?
Well, since 2019, so
wow.
that makes it, 6 years.
Right before
when I first came, right before COVID, when I first came, I was hired to work. I have a background in homeschooling, and we have 5 children, which I'll get into later. But we, just because of that, I was hired at the junior high to work as a teacher's aide, and then shortly after that, I accepted the position to work at the Chamber of Commerce in Hartselle as the president and the CEO, and I served there for just shy of 4 years.
Awesome.
So let's get in real quick to a quick Q&A of Hartselle. What is your favorite local spot?
Local spot is the Main Street Bakery.
Oh, yeah, I love that too.
Yes.
It's good. I love their pimento cheese sandwich.
It is so good.
To me, it's just the perfect blend of the history, but also the owners there. They have such a commitment to excellence, and everything they do is just first class. And you just walk in, and their commitment to beauty and excellence, it just radiates.
It really does.
I really love being there.
That is such a beautiful building, and it's
is.
been through so much transformation. It's good to see something hanging in there and being supported.
Yes, that's something old, something new. It's really beautiful.
So, what was your very first job ever?
The day I turned 16, I went down to the local mall and I applied and got the job to work in a store called the County Seat.
Oh my gosh, I love the County Seat.
Levi
Girl,
blue
you could
jeans,
get every color jean
every
on the planet.
size, and I mean that was back in the day when malls were actually a thing.
Yes.
And I loved it. It was, I'm serious. The day I turned 16, I started working.
So what type store was it?
It was a retail clothing store.
Kind of like a buckle. Now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what it is.
You don't know what a buckle is either?
No, the other store.
Oh,
I've
yeah,
never
yeah,
heard of that before.
yeah.
I love
Yeah.
the County Seat. They were right by Camelot in the mall. Camelot is where they sold these things called cassette tapes.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Our kids are like, what is that? What's one thing that people would be surprised to know about you?
Well, I've already said I met my husband in 1987, which means I went to high school in the early 80s.
Yeah.
And you remember in that season, there was a lot of tension between the Soviet Union and the United States.
Okay.
And I took 7 years of Russian language. Now, I've been away from it for 35, so
Yeah.
don't ask me to translate anything. But between my high school and my college, I actually have a minor in Russian language.
That's very
I know,
interesting.
it is interesting.
Totally
isn't it?
rich.
I know.
is so
But you remember,
random.
I mean, that was just a time in
Yeah.
history when that seemed to be a real asset to have something like that.
How have you used that?
Absolutely zero.
I feel that. I feel that deep in my soul.
You know, when I graduated from college, that was right at the time that the wall was coming down.
Right,
And
yeah.
so really there was not a need for that as much as I thought there would be.
That is a cool little tidbit.
But you say, how did I use it? I used it, I mean, the discipline of learning the culture.
Oh, I can imagine.
Just becoming more aware of another whole side of the world. Of course, that was.
Have you been there
valuable
before?
to me? Yes, I
have?
did.
Wow.
Yes, back in I think it was 87. It was
Yeah.
the summer before I went to college. I went for a 3-week, it was this organization called People to People.
Yeah.
And they did like a student exchange program. And so I went with a team of about 20 students and spent 3 weeks there touring the country and being an ambassador for the U.S.
So you were able to
that's cool.
utilize that at that time.
I was at that point.
That's fun. That
Yes.
would be a fun thing to do.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah. What is your biggest pet peeve?
Probably people forgetting her name. Calling her Missy Elliott.
My biggest pet peeve right now is just the way technology is always changing and password management. Oh my golly. I think I get everything set up
Yeah.
and then you go in tomorrow and they make you have to validate things 3 different ways. And it's like, y'all, I don't have time for this.
I don't want to authenticate again.
Exactly.
There is so much judgment in the floor right now because y'all can't see that my husband is in the floor and he is in technology. Don't get him started on passwords. I get in trouble all the time.
I use the same password for
Don't say that.
everything.
Don't say that.
You
You're
know,
gonna get hacked after
I
this.
set up one of those password management things,
Yes.
and now I'm like, oh, my life is saved. This is going to be awesome. And now it keeps popping up and saying, error, sorry. I'm like, come on, you have about 250 of my passwords, and now you're not even letting me in.
But my thing is, you have to have a master password for that.
You can't forget the
And
master
I can't
password.
remember my master password. So, yeah.
I'm
Moving
not
on.
doing that.
What do you love most about Hartselle?
I really, and this is from someone who's coming from a very large suburban area,
Yeah.
you know, multiple millions of people in Charlotte, but it's really the community. And
Right.
I don't say that lightly because to me, it's where real people can do real things and it actually makes a difference. And I love that about Heart Soul. You know, we talk about the Cheers theme song, you know, it's a place where everybody knows your name.
Right. Yeah.
And of course there's blessings and curses to that, but there is that reality. And I think just in the core of people, they want to be known. And that's what you find here. And it's really beautiful. I love the fact that you can, you know, you have a gift, you have a gift, you have a gift, and we can all bring those to the table and use that in a way to make our community better. And I just love that about Heart Soul.
Yeah. Well, so you just said earlier, love where you live, and Merritt House actually just had the side of a building painted "Love where you live." So that's why she looked at
That's
me.
why I was like,
That keeps coming up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think that's a God thing.
Yes, for
I
sure.
do. And it's not about just place, you know?
Yes.
It's not just the place, the four walls, or anything like
No,
that.
it's about the people that have been ordained to walk alongside of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Into it. What
All right.
has motivated you to run for mayor? Why?
Loaded question.
It is a loaded question. You know, I didn't wake up when I was 10 years old and say, oh, I can't wait. One day I have a great ambition to be mayor.
Yeah.
Especially of the city of Hartselle.
Yeah.
Got this all mapped out.
Right.
And even when I met my husband, I didn't. And, you know, I'm being really transparent here, but I came from a generation when really women in leadership was more of an exception than a norm. And so even within my internal struggle to embrace the reality that God has gifted me with leadership skills and that I have more than just an opportunity, that there was innately in me just a sense of an obligation to use those and the ways that I've been prepared through my life experiences to, in a good way, in a way to serve.
Yeah.
So, let's see, let me kind of back up a little bit. I really believe in the election process. I think it's good for a community. It gets us talking about things that are important, and it challenges the status quo. And, you know, especially now that I'm on this side of it, it's really become even more something I just carry as a great conviction that it is such a healthy, good thing. And yeah, you have the mudslinging and you have some ugly sides to it, but overall what comes out of it is really beautiful, and I'm so thankful we live in a country where we can do that.
Right.
And so over my years of working at the chamber, people would kind of jokingly say, Missy for mayor. You know, and I think, oh no, boy, that is a big job. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
But you know, we have an incumbent who I really respect, and he has done some great things for Hartselle, but he has been in leadership for 9 years, and the last election, which was in the middle of COVID, he was unchallenged, and I felt like I felt like it was important that we had a challenger rise up. And so I prayed, Lord, raise someone else up. And prayed that literally I prayed over this for a year and just asked the Lord to bring, no, it didn't have to be me. It could be someone else.
And he's like, ha ha.
Yeah. And people kept asking. And one day, just in prayer, the Lord brought me back to Psalm 18 with verses 31 through 36. And I'm really just standing on this, that he has trained my hands for battle, and he has strengthened me to bend a bow of bronze, and he's given me a shield of victory. He's made my path straight before me. And I just felt like, okay, you're giving me the courage, you're affirming that this is something I need to step into, no matter what the results are, that this is something that I need to step into.
That's what makes me so excited for Hartselle right now, is I feel like it's been a while since we've had so many people step up and run for these different positions. So if you're not aware, besides mayor, we also have city council and school board elections coming up. And I'm just so excited that we have so many good people stepping out. Yeah,
me too.
So you mentioned opportunities for women in leadership have not been as easy over, past decade? Well, probably longer than that. What brings you most joy in leadership?
I just have an innate passion to make a deep and lasting impact. That's actually part of my testimony in coming to faith in Christ. It's just that, you've heard the analogy of a cup of water, and you put your finger in the water and you pull it out, and it's like you were never there.
Yeah.
And that really was something that weighed on me, and kind of, I hate to use the word, but it tormented me in my high school years of like, how can I leave a legacy? How can I make a difference? And came to the realization that apart from Christ, we cannot, because he alone is the one who can bring lasting impact. But that still is a driving force in me. And so what excites me about leadership and brings me the most joy is when I can bring transformation for the one, or transformation for many, to really see a measurable difference. And so that's what's important to me, and being able to serve in a way to bring that about.
Going into another question. This is another tough one. How do you deal with criticism and tough decisions?
Yeah, well, those are two different things.
Yeah.
And I have a wise friend, good bit older than me, who just beat the mantra into me: reserve judgment and assume goodwill. So when criticism comes, I always pause. And if I need to, I give myself a couple of days to process that. But again, just starting with assuming goodwill, reserving judgment, and embracing the criticism. That there's a reason why the criticism's there. So let me step back. What part did I play in this? What part of this is legitimate? What part of this is true? But then also, flushing, use that term, washing away, flushing what is not true, what's just birthed out of emotion, what's birthed out of frustration or discontentment in the other person. And just being able to weather it and keep. Have a guy I like to follow who says, keep your love on.
Yeah.
Just got to keep your love on, because that's going to steer you through.
How do you deal, especially with as being a woman, we're a little more emotional. So how do you keep from internalizing those things? In an age of social media, that's very hard.
Yes.
Yes. Do you read the comments?
Totally.
Do you not read the comments?
Totally. And I think you have to always go back to, I guess it's something I've kind of learned over the years, that I'm not going to step into something until I have a really strong conviction that God has called me to this, because that's got to be my anchor. And when the criticism comes, I can go back to that. I can point to those verses, to that encounter with God where he called me to this, and therefore I'm good. And it doesn't really matter how others are evaluating and considering that. But then there is that reality. I think by nature, women are nurturers. And so we do take those criticisms personally sometimes. But again, just the 24-hour rule helps a lot. Going back to my prayer closet, getting back, refocused on my identity, and keep going. Just can't.
Why is it our
quit.
closets? I feel like it's always our closet. Like when I need quiet time, it's my closet. Like the lights might not even be on. You might not know I'm in there. Like,
That's the whole point.
That's right. That is so true.
The hiding spot.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is your burnt toast moment? So we talk about the beauty and the messy, the overcooked, the unplanned parts of life. What is something that you've experienced that you just were like, you've got to be kidding?
I've really wrestled over that question, because, I can think of something just a couple Sundays ago. There was someone at church on the stage talking, and internally I was thinking, he reminds me so much of somebody named Chris. And then I walk out in the lobby and I see him, and I'm like, man, Chris, you did such a great job. And he's looking at me because we've done ministry together. And he's like, my name is Luke. And I was like, oh man, here I am with my big, I didn't have it on, but my Missy for Mayor persona. And I'm like, I can't even remember this guy's name. And, that's a real thing. But as I was thinking over this question, because you're looking for something real. And just as a woman and kind of knowing the focus of your podcast, I just felt like I wanted to talk for a second about my struggle as a mom, and as someone who feels like I have a call for leadership, and yet I've been a mom for 29 years, and I was a stay-at-home mom for 16 of those years.
Which is definitely a calling.
Yes.
Yes.
Especially when there's 5 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 of them.
Yes.
5 of them. And, they're 11 years apart. And we made the decision after our first one was born, we were heading into having our second one. And that's when I came out of being a full-time working mom. And, began the journey of staying home. But as much as I had joy over that, there was just always this nagging voice, like tempting me to discontentment about, you're not doing anything important. You're not doing anything significant. And, this motherhood thing is, insignificant. And when's going to be your day to shine? And I just really wrestled with that for a lot of years. And my husband came home one day from work and he said that he had someone he worked with who I knew, but not closely. Yeah. And she had told him, I had a dream the other day of your wife, and she had on this pearl necklace, and it was 5 really precious, beautiful, large pearls. And I just felt pierced to the core of like, this was supposed to be God's gift to me, these children. And I was so ungrateful, so discontented. And that just began a journey of me, flipping the script and beginning to really grow my gratitude.
That's really tough.
Yes. Scripture says that godliness with contentment is great gain. And just learning to be grateful, learning to settle into this season and to be patient with what God was doing in that time, because, oh my gosh, he taught me so much about leadership and loving and cultivating and building, which is, at the core of who I am. And so, the result of that is that God did bring me meaningful work in the right season. Yeah. Ecclesiastes talks about, there's a time for everything. And he wants us, I'm sorry for all the scripture, but these are just the things that I go back to all the time. That Romans 12 talks about his will for us is good, it's pleasing, it's perfect. And if we can just sit down and settle into that and, grab a hold of where I am right now is good, where I am is pleasing, where I am is perfect. It's his will for me, and he sees me, and he's got, preparation ahead. So, that's kind of my, I just regret those years of striving after perfectionism and striving after, trying to make my name great in the midst of a season when he was really wanting me to just.
I mean, that is kind of where this podcast has been birthed from, because I got to a point where I was just having coffee with so many different moms, and they were just in the struggle of identity. Because after children, you kind of lose a little bit of that, like, who am I? And we talked about before, mourning your past self in order to step into something new. And so that really resonates a lot, I think, with a lot of moms out there.
I think so too.
But what's funny is that as I've come out of this season, our youngest one is 18 now, everyone's flying the coop, and the Lord has released me into a new season. I find it just as difficult, because I want to go back to the comfort and the ease and the safe place of just being mom. But that is a season that I love, and I still get to fill that role, but in a different way.
That's so good. We are close to our time limit today, unfortunately. Is there anything else that you want to add? Anything that you want to share that maybe we didn't?
I just, you all had asked in our prep time, what's one hope that I have for this town's future, regardless of the election outcome. And I would just say, I'm going to use these 2 words and then develop it here, but just hope and pride. I had a conversation with someone the other day, and they were talking about going to different park and rec locations. And they said, I just want people outside of Hartselle to say, oh, goody, we get to go to Hartselle.
Right.
And we have a generation behind us, and I want to be that baton passer, you know, because I'm not going to see us to the finish line. None of us are.
Yeah.
But I want to be able to hand off to them something that they are excited about. This is a place where they can come back to. And I don't just say that as my seat as mayor, but I want that for all of us as citizens to have that pride, to have that hope about our community. And so, you know, whether the election turns in my favor or not, I hope that as a community, we'll all see that we have a part to play in that and take a hold of that.
Yeah, awesome.
That's so good. Missy, thank you so much for joining us today. And thanks to all of our listeners for joining us for Before the Ballot. You know, towns like this are not just about policies. They're about people and potlucks and all the things of shared stories that has made Hartselle so great. So show up, speak up, and for goodness sake, cast your vote.
Yes,
your voice
please.
matters, even if you still call Hometown Market CNS. So thanks for joining us.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you.